Hey, my name is James Nicholson. Welcome to this channel. Now in this video, we're going to talk about rent to rent and how it could just be the best strategy for you in these uncertain times. Now, this channel is all about my investment journey. I'm currently growing my portfolio and I'm building a portfolio for my two daughters, Georgia, who's 21, and Emily, who is just 1. We've just got 2 properties for Georgia, and this channel documents all of that. So if you want to go and see exactly how we purchase from auction, refurbish and refinance the property up in Doncaster, or you want to see our latest flat that we bought in Dorking in Surrey, do go and check out the other videos on the channel. And do make sure you take that finger up power, spin it round, smash subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll get all the new content as and when we do it. So this video, we want to talk about what is rent to rent, how can rent to rent help you, and why it could be one of the best strategies in the market at the moment. So what is rent to rent first? Well, rent to rent is where you rent a property from someone. It could be someone like me. I know one of you at least very kindly offered to rent some properties off me recently, which was great. I got a Facebook message from a lovely lady asking to rent my properties and she would give me a guaranteed rent. So rent to rent is where you will look at typically something like a flat or a house, and you will rent it from the landlord for a guaranteed fee. And so they get guaranteed rent, and you might take on all the maintenance and stuff like that. So they have hassle-free, hands-off investing. So it could be very, very positive for them. Now, next, is rent to rent illegal? Well, that is a common question that I get asked, and I get told, in fact, matter of fact, that people say rent to rent is illegal. You cannot sublet properties. Now, that is true. You are not allowed to sublet a property. And so that is where you take on a property, you rent it out without consent or knowledge of that landlord. And that is not legal. You are not allowed to do that. The contract needs to be very clear on that they will allow you to rent that out. So you need to be very transparent, open and upfront with the landlord about what your intentions are, and get the right contract in place to allow you to do that. Now, a lot of estate agents can get that contract, or a solicitor can do that very, very cheaply for you. It's not particularly a big deal, but it just needs to allow you to be able to rent it out. So let's talk about a few scenarios, and why would the landlord want, first off, to allow you to rent a property from them and then rent it out for more money? Because surely they would just do themselves. Well, actually, a lot of landlords are accidental landlords, and they just want an easy life. They don't want the hassle of dealing with multiple tenants. They don't want the hassle of maybe someone running it and checking in as an Airbnb. They just want to get a guaranteed fixed rent each and every month. So this can be a really good strategy for them, because what you might do when you get the agreement is, rather than take it on a 6-month tenancy or a 1-year tenancy, get it on a 5-year tenancy, and then they've got that certainty for 5 years. You can put a break clause in case from your side it doesn't work out and you want to just hand the keys back. Then that's another way that you can do this. So what you could do is, one way is to rent flats, right? And so there are tons of developers that they want to have the certainty that their properties are going to be rented out on an easy basis. And so you can do that with flats, right? And so flats can work quite well on something called serviced accommodation. And that is where you will rent from the landlord, and maybe you will pay £1,000 a month rent. And in return, you're now going to rent it out on Airbnb, right? And so you might be able to, if all went very well, achieve £3,000 a month through Airbnb, right? And that happens, like thousands of people are doing this. Now, you're going to be paying the bills as well. So there's going to be, you need to get the property cleaned. You're going to need to pay for the electricity, the gas, TV license, and all of this stuff. So let's just say there's £1,000 in bills. That would leave you with £1,000 in profit. right? And that is what we want to achieve when we're doing this. So you're renting the property from someone, and then you're renting it out to professionals on Airbnb, or it might be a holiday let basis. And the reason that the landlord, as we said, doesn't want to do this themselves is because they think it's too complicated or too hassled. And a lot of people are doing this very, very successfully. You're controlling the asset. You're not owning the property, but you're controlling the asset. And that's a great way to make some very, very good money. So flats can do very, very well. Now, how could you do this with houses? Well, you could do the same, right? You could do the same. So you could easily rent a house out, particularly if it was, say, for example, in a city centre, or which you're not going to get in London, obviously, houses, but you do in other cities. You do get houses close to the city centre. Or you might look at like a holiday destination, like Brighton, for example, or Worthing, or Cornwall. I don't know, wherever you prefer to go on holiday, maybe. And so then you can rent a house out and rent it out again on Airbnb as a serviced accommodation. So that's one way that you can do this. But with houses, I'm not thinking really of doing that. I'm thinking of doing another way. And that's when you can turn the house into an HMO. And depending on when you're watching this video, this is a really good time to get that as an opportunity. You see, tons of student accommodation is empty at the moment because there's too much student accommodation in towns. And there's landlords that have been student landlords for years and years and years. And we're in October now. If they haven't filled up that property, do you think there's a high chance that it's going to be empty for the rest of the year? Well, of course there is, right? Of course there is. And so you can do quite well just going to these student landlords and saying, look, let me take it off your hands, and then you would rent it out to professionals. Now, it's already going to be ready to go. If it's student accommodation, it's going to be ready to go. It's going to have additional bathrooms and all of that stuff that will allow you to rent it out on an HMO basis, house of multiple occupancy, on a room by room basis. And people are using this strategy right now. They're calling all the landlords, the student landlords that didn't rent their properties out, and seeing if they can take that property on and run it as an HMO for themselves. Now, you might be able to rent that for, say, you've got a 5-bed place, depending on where it is in the country, right? But if you went up north, you could easily get that for £1,000. And then you could rent those rooms out for maybe 500. I'm going to use 500, but you might be looking at 450 to 500 pounds. So you're going to net £2,500. You've got to pay the landlord £1,000 in rent, and then you've got to pay the bills, right? So you've got £2,500. You've got 1,500 quid left over as your profit, and out of that 1,500 quid profit, you've now got to pay the gas and electric and stuff like that. And that's not going to come to 1,500 quid. I know it's expensive at the moment, but it's not going to come to 1,500 quid. Now, what you could also do here very well is something called a lease option, because a lot of these landlords that they've got into student accommodation, they've had the good years. The reason the student accommodation isn't so good right now is because there are purpose-built campuses. Big companies have come in and built these mega student accommodation places, some on university land, but some of them just outside, just close, and they've built places that they can have 200 students. They offer gyms and swimming pools, and a landlord can't compete with that. They're clean, they're fresh, they're modern. They've got beautiful kitchens, they've got great places to hang out, they've got chill out rooms and all this stuff that a house just can't compete with. And so that means it's really, really hard for a lot of student landlords now, and they can be an option to rent it out. Then you can say to them, hey, look, maybe you want to sell this to me. And so maybe you could agree a price today and say, I don't know, 100 grand. If it was up north, 200 grand, I don't know what the price is going to be. Depends on the area, right? But let's just say it's 200 grand. And you'll say, look, I'll pay you 200 grand, but I need the market to raise a little bit. So let's just agree the price today. We'll do a transaction, which is called a lease option, for £1. That means it's legal now. And then we're going to complete on it in 7 years from now, right? I've got other videos on the channel. In fact, I made one last week on lease options. So do go and check out how that strategy works, right? What I just want you to do is just see that you can use a combination of strategies here to do really, really well. And that can be a great thing for you as a landlord to make some good money here. So let's recap. We're talking rent to rent. You can rent a flat, and with permission, you can then sublet it, or it's not subletting, it's just rent it out on Airbnb, and that can get you some really, really good income. You need to be careful in London. I've got a property in London. There are rules in London on the amount of days that you can do this, but everywhere else in the UK is pretty good, right? And there's massive, massive, massive demand. In fact, we nearly bought one of these 2 weeks ago in Littlehampton, but it went so quick. It was a beachfront house that would have been perfect for this. So then you'll get a higher rent. Cash flow is really good. This is way better than a vanilla buy-to-let, right? The other one is houses. Turn it into an HMO, so you can get a 5-bedroom house. You can do this with student accommodation at the moment, but you could do it with any type of house. You could find a 4-bedroom house that's got 2 reception rooms, change those reception rooms into bedrooms. You need to make sure you've got it licensed and all this kind of stuff, but that sort of stuff we can help you with. We'll make some videos about that stuff in the future. Today, I just want you to get thinking, that is awesome. I can rent somewhere and rent it out. There are options on how to do this, guys, right? I hope you found this useful. I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about rent to rent as a strategy? Do comment below and let me know. Do like this video, guys. That helps with YouTube. So please, please, please do that. And if you want to come and meet me in London, we're going to be running a live event very, very soon. In fact, I've been speaking to my team today about getting the hotel booked for that. To join the VIP list, in the description is a link. Just fill your details in, guys. All it does is just get you notified as soon as tickets are available for that event, so you don't miss out. So do click on that link now, get your details filled in, check out all the other videos on my channel, including this one right here. Bye for now.